Thank you, Madam Chair. I presume some of the, I know they are, but I appreciate the relatives testifying, very courageous and compelling testimony. Thank you, I'm sorry. I was here, but I had to go to another hearing. Airplane safety is so important, and in those crashes, it was death. It's a serious matter, and the public deserves the right to know when decisions to increase profit margins have an impact on their health and safety. With the MCAS, and that happened, but it all happens in other places as well. Federal law requires that planes be capable of being evacuated within 90 seconds of an emergency. That's federal law. With half the aircraft exists inoperable. With half the aircraft's exits inoperable. There have been several recent occurrences that raise questions of whether all passengers on an aircraft can indeed evacuate within 90 seconds. In 2016, the NTSB concluded that it took at least 2 minutes, 21 seconds, 51 seconds longer, over half the time longer than the FAA assumes is the correct time, for 161 passengers to evacuate a lightly loaded American Airlines flight. In January 2018, the NTSB concluded that evidence of passengers retrieving carry-on baggage during this and other recent emergency evacuations demonstrates that previous FAA actions to mitigate this potential safety hazard have not been effective. This should concern everybody. It's not the same as a plane falling out of the sky. But when a plane does have an emergency and they land and people can't get off in time, injuries and deaths occur. They're preventable. Emergency evacuation is a serious issue, as is the potential for air rage as tensions mount inside more tightly packed cabins. Doctors have warned that deep vein thrombosis can affect passengers, afflict them who don't move their legs during longer flights. Despite this, seat sizes continue to shrink, and the seat sizes shrink not on their own, but because the airlines want to pack more people in. They want to emulate sardines in an airplane. They pack people in their sides, in front. You can't cross your legs. You can't get out. That's why Representatives Kinzinger and I introduced Seat Egress and Air Travel, or the CEDAC, an acronym, that requires the FAA to review cabin evacuation procedures and issue regulations establishing minimum dimensions for passenger seats necessary for the safety of passengers. Pleased it was in the FAA reauthorization bill. Great work. 9 months since it passed into law, and it appears very little action has taken place. This is something that could save lives, and in 9 months since the Congress said do it, nothing has apparently been done. Is it Schultz?
Schultz.
Schultz. You're the acting director of Office of National Safety, National Transportation Safety Board. As mentioned in Mr. Bassani's testimony, it appears zero action has taken place on implementation of the SEAT Act. Has the FAA begun working with the NTSB on implementation of the SEAT Act?
Well, thank you for your question. We have been contacted by the FAA, but I would say that there's additional conversations that is going to ensue. I think it's at the planning stage, would be our assessment, but we have been contacted.
And after 9 months after Congress said to do it, and lives are in the balance, and you're in the conversation stage, hello, how are you? I'm here at the University of Michigan as a freshman. Nice to meet you. Don't you think you ought to take some action by now?
Well, certainly the FAA requirement that was in the legislation is clear. We have made a number of recommendations, and we continue to work proactively with FAA to have those implemented. But from our standpoint, we are remaining fully open and ready to receive that work with FAA.
Can I ask you to try to call them and urge them to start to act on behalf of the flying public?
We absolutely, on a routine basis, interact with them to promote and advocate for those recommendations, for our recommendations.
Thank you. Ms. Bassani, in your written testimony, you discussed the importance of the SEAT Act and how important it is for FAA to review cabin evacuation procedures. Can you expand on why the implementation is so important and how a new review of cabin evacuation procedures could positively affect your members?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Cohen. First of all, I want to thank you for spearheading that act. It's one of the single most important things that flight attendants find that we need right now and that our passengers need. Safety is so important, and like I said earlier, safety is in our DNA. It's so important that we enact this sooner rather than later, because the airlines are smashing seats into these airplanes. Come on. And when I talk to them as the president of my union and say, this is ridiculous, we have a seat right up on an emergency exit on one of the newer planes. We have to almost sit in a passenger's lap to arm and disarm that door. And you know what they say in response? Oh my God, if we have to remove that seat, that equates to $500,000. In my mind, every inch equates to a customer, a passenger's life, possibly. In their mind, every inch is real estate, and it's dollars, and it's ridiculous. And I implore this committee to take that seriously. That's what we're here for. That's what you're here for. That's what all of us are here for, the safety in the aviation industry. And when I see the frustration of Congressman Cohen, you can triple that for us out here that have to deal with this every single day. And the reason why we know why our passengers are enraged. Come on, by the time they get on the flight, first of all, they're already traumatized by the whole travel experience, and we inherit them, and it's our job. And we learn how to diffuse situations. But when you're up in the sky, there's no way you can say you need to leave and go out that door now. You have to deal with them. And it rests on us. It rests on us in the back of the aircraft. And it's extremely, extremely important that people not only feel comfortable, but that we're able to evacuate them in the case that we can save their life. And in some cases, we can. And Congressman Cohen very eloquently stated some of those cases that have happened recently. I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And in closing, this is like the 737 in regards that they don't want to use actual people to test it, like simulators would be best. They want to do a computer study and have people who are all 150 pounds, 5'9", and just ran a marathon getting off the plane in perfect tennis shoes.
With a service animal, like a donkey.
Thank you, Mr.
Right.
Cohen.
You're welcome.